जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमल वरे रखा मद्भुत शृंगा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज Hare Krishna. So now we have another announcement. We have class by Her Grace Madhukumari Mataji. So here in the temple room we have class, and those who are here first time, you can attend and enjoy this class. This class is going to be on nectar of instructions, and along with that we have prasadam in the Seva hall. So you can also attend that as well. And thank you so much for coming here at Bhaktivedanta Manor. Hare Krishna.
The most interested audience I've got. Amazing, at least to have some very, very interested audience. Okay, so before we start the class, we'll just do a little bit of kirtan and then we'll start, okay? You like singing? Yeah? You can follow whatever I sing? Yeah? Okay, fine. Maybe the first bit you might not be able to, but you can try, okay? Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna All of you can repeat. It's easy, all of you. So I'll sing once, you all can repeat, okay? Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Your turn. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe, Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, 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 Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming and thank you for participating in the Kirtan. What we were singing is the Maha Mantra. Perhaps many of you know it and maybe some don't. How many of you are coming here for the first time? First time to the temple? Nobody. That's good. So I get most of you then know or heard of the Maha Mantra. I can't speak to you all behind. You want to come and sit here in front. There's lots of place. It's nice to see everybody, if possible. You can come here. There's lots of place here. This is not going to be like like an academic class. You don't have to worry. If you sit in front of me, I won't ask you questions, I promise. Maybe I will actually. Yeah, so okay, so I guess many of you here before, so you do know about the Maha Mantra, about Krishna. How many of you know we just sang about Gaur Nitai? How many of you know about Gaur Nitai? Right. See, there's something that okay, Mataji knows. Yes, what can you just speak about them? What do you know about them? Or you don't? You don't know. Okay, so I'm just saying this because we were singing, so I thought, because we are singing, it's nice to know what we were singing. Who are we glorifying? So when you see on the altar, obviously everybody knows Radha Krishna. So they are Radha Gokulanand, everybody knows. And then you have Sita Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman. We all know that. And then we were singing about Gaur Nitai. So if you notice, in the middle, right, there's these small deities. You can see them now, in the middle, just between Radha Krishna and Sita Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman, the big deities. There's a small altar where we have Gaur Nitai deities. And you have a picture here also. In the middle is Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Gauranga Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna. He's Krishna himself, right? He's appeared in this yuga for a certain purpose, and the purpose is to spread this knowledge of chanting the holy name, of performing devotional service to Krishna. That is why Mahaprabhu has come. So when Mahaprabhu comes, or when Krishna comes, Krishna doesn't come alone. He always has his friends and family with him. When Krishna comes, you've got Balaram, you've got Yashodama, you've got Nanda Maharaj, you've got Devaki, all of them come together. So even here when Mahaprabhu has come, he comes with his brother. So Nityananda Prabhu is none other than Balaram. So here now when you see on the altar, after the class, you can take darshan again and you will see that when you're looking like this, when you're facing the altar, on the left hand side is Nityananda Prabhu, who is none other than Balaram, and on the right hand is Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And that's why when we were singing the kirtan, then we finished with singing, glorifying Gauranga and Nityananda Prabhu. Okay? Right. So now when you come, when you take darshan, please do look at them and take them in that they are none other than Krishna and Balaram. Okay? All right. So, since quite a few have come here before to the manor, perhaps you do know about our scriptures. I'm sure everybody knows about Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita? I want to see a raise of hands. How many know about Bhagavad Gita? How many don't? All of you. All of you. Yeah, I would have expected. We have other scriptures also, obviously. Yes, Bhagavad Gita is well known and we all know the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know how many of you have read it. I hadn't. I can say that for myself. I knew about the Bhagavad Gita. It was a book, a holy book, which was kept on the altar in the temple, revered, prayed to, but never actually read or understood any of it. So it's only later on in life that I actually got the opportunity to read and understand the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, obviously Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. It is a conversation. And we have other scriptures also, like we have the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam speaks about the various pastimes that Krishna has with all his devotees. And then we have other scriptures like Nectar of Instructions. Like, today Prabhu announced that we'll be speaking from the Nectar of Instruction. So when you hear the word instruction is actually, it's instructing us. This scripture, this Vedic knowledge, it is giving us the understanding of how one can lead one's life in a way that we will be able to achieve our final destination, our final goal. How many of you think about what our final goal is? 2 questions. How many of you think about it? To think about it, you need to know it. So how many of you know it? What is the final destination? What is our goal? Why are we here? Do you ever have these kind of questions? Do you ever ask these questions? Anybody from here have thought about it, or do you know what our goal is? No? Anybody? Yes. Brilliant, brilliant. So the goal is to go out of this cycle of life and death. We all know that we are in this cycle constantly. Death is not the final destination. Many of us, perhaps some maybe don't believe in reincarnation, but many of us, I think majority, do believe in reincarnation. So we do know that after death there is going to be another birth. And we are constantly in this cycle of birth and death. So the question is this what life is all about, this constant cycle? It is not actually, because there is something beyond death. And what is that? So our scriptures actually give us guidance of all of these things. So one of our scriptures is Nectar of Instruction. And today's verse, we are going to talk about how behaving in a certain manner, and associating with each other in certain manner will help us to progress on our journey, not the material journey, but the spiritual journey of finding our actual goal, right? So I will read this verse, which is from Nectar of Instruction. I will read the Sanskrit and the translation, okay? Dadati pratigrinati guhyam akhyati prachati bhungte bhojayate chaiva sadvidam priti lakshanam. So the translation has been given by our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I have a humble request. If the children, if they want to play, I understand they will not sit. Perhaps they can just go out, because it is a little disturbing for me, if you don't mind. Sorry. So the translation for this verse is, offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So here what we are talking about is how we should behave with one another. So in this verse, actually one of our great teachers, Rupa Goswami, he's talking about how to perform devotional activities in the association of devotees. However, when you take this verse and you put it practically in your day-to-day life, you will see that how it is so important. We are already doing all of these things. Sometimes we don't actually, like put it in writing or in pen and paper, but we are doing this. Like, let's take for example, all of us, when we are with friends and family, is it not true that you want to express yourself, express that you care for somebody? And when you do that, there are various ways of expressing that love, right? I mean, it could be so many different ways. Any thoughts on how you would express your love or your friendship with each other? How do you do it? What do you do? What do you do? I don't want to have a boring class when I'm just talking. Let's make it interactive. It's quite simple. Sorry, yes. By caring, how do you show that you care? How do you show that you care? Yeah, like doing things, yeah. Sorry? Calling and talking. So main thing is giving your time, talking, yeah. Any other thoughts? Cooking for somebody, very nice. That's what we speak about in this verse. Cooking for somebody, yes. Giving gifts, yes, giving gifts. So, there are so many ways that we express our love for each other, even in our day-to-day life. So, spiritual life is actually not different to material life. It is actually just the same. It is exactly the same. The only difference is obviously that whatever we do, we keep the Lord in the center. We do everything in relation to the Lord. Now, why we do that, I'll tell you. How many of you, when you think about yourself, who am I? I'm sure most of you must have asked this question, who am I? Right? Obviously, we get the answer, we look at ourselves in the mirror, and I am so-and-so, Mr., Mrs., whoever, so-and-so, I'm Indian, I am this, my parents are Mr. and Mrs., whoever. Has anybody ever asked about this question, who is the real me actually? Who is the real me? Anybody asked? The soul is the real me. We don't ask this question very often because we are so caught up in this me, and I can't see the real me. You see, I can't see. When I look in the mirror, can I see the soul? I can't see the soul. And it's very difficult sometimes because we've got these senses. You know, we've got these senses, we've got these eyes, these ears, touch, feeling. We only want to believe what we see. We only want to believe what we hear. We can't see the soul. Many times we can't hear the soul also. Many a times. Sometimes you can. You know, sometimes you can hear. When something comes from deep within, you think, okay, that's my soul, or that's my consciousness, you know. Or you know, you say, inherently I felt this, or you say, intuitively I felt this. And that intuition is actually, you know, your soul, your super soul, like that. So we are this eternal soul, and then the question is, for this eternal soul, what do you think the best gift would be? Somebody just said here, you said that getting out of this cycle of birth and death is what we need to understand. So imagine this, you are a well-wisher, you care for people, your parents, your children, your spouse, your relatives. You show your expressions of love, like we rightfully said, by exchanging gifts, by you know, making some food, or talking to each other. The best gift that each one of us can give is the gift of Krishna consciousness, the gift of understanding who the real me is. When you understand who the real me is, like let's say that, you know, you've just recently developed a friendship with somebody, you know, like let's say that today I got to know Prabhuji. So it's just today that I've got to know him. But slowly, when you develop a friendship, you want to know about that person. And then you want to give the person a gift which he will like. Isn't that what we do? Even with children. We're thinking, what is it that he needs? What is it that he will like? What is it that he will enjoy? Right? We always want to do that because obviously that's what will make them happy. You know? So likewise, when we come to spirituality, when we come to Krishna consciousness, when we actually understand that I am this soul, then I want to give a gift that will be most pleasing, most beneficial, you know, and that the other soul will appreciate. And that gift is the gift of understanding first, who am I? I've got that. So if I am the soul, what is my relation with God? What is my relation with Krishna, who is actually described as the super soul? Right? We all are parts and parcel of Krishna. We are never away from Krishna. He's always with us. He's always with us 24/7. Not just with us, human beings, he is with each and every living entity. Be it a little worm, or be it the plants, or be it the animals, or be it whoever. Whatever living entity, Krishna is with them, because we are all part and parcel of Krishna. Everybody's heard these terms that, you know, not even a blade of grass will move without the sanction of the Lord. Right? Somebody is controlling it. You know, I know we've got scientists trying to prove, you know, or speaking about the Big Bang Theory and all. Obviously, we are not going to go into that because, you know, that's a separate topic. But most of us, we are here, so we do believe that there is a controller, there is a supreme controller controlling, and that is the Lord. So we have to understand what our relation with the Lord is. And when we understand that relation, then we also, when we bring him into the picture, and then our relation with each and every living entity will change. We start looking at everybody as part of Krishna. Is that right? And then we will want to give them gifts which are beneficial to them. Obviously, we also give material gifts, which is, you know, we do exchange other kinds of gifts. So, however, when it comes to sharing this eternal gift, which is about knowledge of Krishna, and in this Kali Yuga, it is said that in order to form your relation with Krishna, the most easiest and the most apt way is to chant the holy name, which we just did when we were chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. the holy name is this Mahamantra. All of us chanted. Anybody who doesn't know what the Mahamantra is? There anybody here in this room presently who doesn't know what the Mahamantra is? Anybody? 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 Okay. Everybody knows the Mahamantra. We just chanted the Mahamantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, he explains that the greatest gift one can give is the holy name of Krishna. And why is that? Because in our scriptures it is said that if one chants the holy name, just by chanting the holy name, all the darkness from our heart will dissipate. Just like when the wind comes and the clouds go away and you can see the sun shining brightly. Likewise, what the chanting of the holy name does is that our heart, our minds sometimes are covered by influences of various things that have happened in our life, whether it is this life or past life. Many of us, we carry impressions from our past life. Many of you must have heard about, how when a child, he's just 2 or 3 years old, but he remembers things. He remembers his past life. Sometimes he remembers his parents, his house, the place where he lived. That's because he's already had a past life. So he's carrying the impressions. Some may remember the impressions very clearly, some may not, but it's there. It's there in our subtle mind, in our subtle, in our being. It's there. So we are carrying these impressions, and what chanting of the holy name does is, it, clears all these impressions and actually allows the sun of the understanding of Lord Krishna become very clear in our hearts and in our mind. And why do you need that understanding to be clear? So that you can establish that relation. If you don't know somebody, I want to become friends with you, Mataji, but I don't know you. How am I going to become friends with you? I will speak to her perhaps about you. I will perhaps speak to you directly about you. And thus, knowing each other, sharing with each other, we become friends. And that's what Krishna wants. That's exactly what Krishna wants. Krishna wants us to know him, to understand him, develop love for him. And we can do that. The first process where no qualification is needed, there is no age barrier, language barrier, material wealth is not required, no college qualifications required. Just start chanting the holy name. And so that is the gift that we can give to each other, right? So like this verse is talking about that gift. One of our acharyas, I'll just bring this up 1 second. So one of our acharyas, Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, actually, has explained this verse in very, very nice way. And he has used care, C-A-R-E, to explain. So in this verse we spoke about the Sanskrit or the English translation said that offering gifts in charity and accepting gifts in charity. So when we talk about C, so care, so dadati means giving, pratigrinati means accepting. So what we are doing is we are giving. What are we giving? We're trying to give the love of Krishna. We are trying to give the holy name of Krishna. We are trying to give gifts that will help us to move forward in our spiritual journey. At the same time, we give material gifts also because we have relationship. So we do give material gifts also, but even the material gifts are somewhere trying to enhance our spiritual journey, because that's the core, that is the main thing that we are talking about, right? So when we are doing this and when we are accepting it, let's say that we meet somebody who perhaps has got a deep knowledge of the scriptures. So then it is our role to, in a humble state, inquire and receive what he's talking about Krishna. I don't know everything about Krishna. I may have read the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam perhaps once, twice, or 3 times, but I still don't know everything about Krishna, because there is so much to know about Krishna. And then there is somebody who knows more and he's sharing with me. So I accept that. So the first thing to understand this verse, very easy, you remember this, is we've used the term care, the acronym CARE. So C is for caring, and by caring, this is what we are doing. We're giving and accepting. So, when we do that, like I said, as soon as we do that, what happens is our heart starts getting purified. It gets cleaned, and slowly the fire of material desires will extinguish. We will realize that this world is temporary, this life is temporary, but I want something eternal. Now, one may question, why is it that I'm seeking for something eternal? Why is it that each one of us, and correct me if I'm wrong, we never seek for distress? We never wake up in the morning and say, today I am going to actively look for ways where I can become sad. Nobody does that, right? Nobody does that. But we do actively seek for ways where we can be happy. Do you know why that is? Because, like I said, we are the soul. The inherent nature of the soul is to be happy. The soul is Sat Chit Anand. Right? It is full of knowledge, full of truth, and always happy. Always happy. And that is why you will see, invariably, you don't have to teach even a child who's just born. When he is distressed, he's crying. He doesn't want to be distressed. He does not want to cry. He wants to be happy because that is the inherent nature of the soul. So, the chanting of the Maha Mantra is the first step that you take towards achieving that eternal goal of being happy. Right? Temporary gifts may make you happy, but it's temporary. It's not going to give you the eternal happiness. Right? So that is our first step. So we're just reiterating from the scriptures what we perhaps already know, but sometimes, like I said, we know things, but we don't accept it sometimes, and we don't identify it and put it in black and white. Many a times they say that when you write things, and that is why, self-help gurus and motivators will say, write things big and put it on your bedroom wall and look at it every day. I am going to achieve this, because that actually motivates you. That, when you see it in black and white, it spells it out clearly that this is what you want to achieve, So the next part, it says about how, so we've spoken about care. Then we talk about accepting, A. And here it says about how, as devotees or as friends, as well-wishers, and Mataji mentioned that we like to cook for each other. Like, bhungte bhojayate, it says in this verse. You want to cook. You want to give nice things to your loved ones. If it's your son's birthday, a lot of you will want to bake a cake, perhaps a chocolate cake maybe, because that's what generally children like, I don't know. But you'd want to do that. You'd want to give the best thing. You'd want to cook for them. You'd want to make a lavish meal for them, make the best things that they want, samosas or masala dosas. My daughter likes masala dosas, so you'd want to cook for them and you'd want to share this thing. And that is what you do in friends. When you want friends over, you call them over, right? Many of us, we do that. We go over to our friend's place and we share these, different kinds of food or have lavish feast and enjoy that together. Now, in the scriptures, we have a very nice story about Narad Muni. How many of you know Narad Muni? Narad Muni? Everybody. Narad Muni is really famous, isn't it? Narad Muni is a very famous personality in our scripture. So in our scriptures, in the Bhagavatam, there is a story about how just by having food, that was actually received by great sages who were realized souls, and Narad Muni happened to take that food and he became a realized soul. So if you read the story about Narad Muni, he wasn't always Narad Muni. In his previous life, he was born of a very simple lady, right? She was a widow. She didn't have her husband. And she lived with Narad Muni in the jungles. Narad Muni was only 5 years old at that time. And it so happened that some sages who were passing by that forest area, that jungle, because of Chaturmas, in Chaturmas, sages don't normally travel. At least in the Vedic times, that was the case. These days, perhaps there are some changes, but generally, sages wouldn't travel. And so, for those 4 months, they stayed in that jungle. And Narad Muni's mother got the opportunity to serve these sages, look after them, cook for them. While they were doing that, sages, what do? They read the scriptures, they perform various yagyas, they read, they glorify the Lord, they do their pujas, all of those things. And so the mother, she was looking after them, looking after their comforts in terms of, making prasad for them. And Narad Muni, taking permission from the sages, he would also have the same, so the remnants of whatever was left over from that prasad he would have. Just by having that, he got purified. And it so happened, it's a long story, but it so happened that after he lost his mother, he didn't get like, of course he lost his mother, so he was sad. But he knew that he has to take the next step, and the next step is to realize God by realizing who I am, by realizing what my relation is. So prasad, actually, what prasad does is, it helps us. It helps our heart to get purified. And that is why whenever we go to any temple, and I'm sure all of you have experienced it, whether it is here or in India or anywhere else, when you go to temples, there is always some prasad that is given to you. Is that right? Everybody gets prasad? Because that prasad is what has been offered to the Lord. And by having that prasad, slowly your heart gets purified. And what Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, did when he came to the West more than 50 years back, and when he started establishing these centers for spiritual enlightenment, one of the most important things which he set in place was distributing prasad to all the guests that came to the temple. No matter how many guests come to the temple, distributing of prasad was the most important thing. That Prabhupada actually set this in place. And it's being carried out everywhere, even today, right? So that's our A, accepting. So we spoke about C, which is care, A, which is accepting. And then, if you remember the translation, it spoke about being able to, in a confidential manner, share your heart. All of us need a few such friends or family where you're able to share your heart. You can open up, and they can in return reciprocate with you. And they also can open up their heart. That's the R in care. So you can reciprocate, you both can. It's not that nobody will find it comfortable to speak your heart with strangers, right? And that is why you need association, you need friends, you need somebody who you are close to, with whom you can open up, with whom you can speak your heart, whether it is whatever. In life we have ups and downs, all of us have that, always. I mean, that's what life is about. Life is like the waves of the ocean, constantly, right? So when we have that, we need somebody with whom we can speak, even when we are up. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's a very beautiful verse which says that one must be able to tolerate happiness and distress. And the question may be asked that, okay, distress one has to tolerate. Why do we say tolerate happiness? Any thoughts on why we say tolerate happiness? Any thoughts? There could be many varied thoughts about this. I'll just share what I, perhaps, a little bit of what. When everything is going great in our lives, every action has a reaction, right? So the action of when everything is going great, the reaction sometimes is that I can become really puffed up. When you are materially successful, there are many things that happen sometimes. I forget I forget the bigger picture, I forget the controller, I forget that there is God, whatever is happening is because He's the controller. Many a times it has happened with successful people, and correct me if I'm wrong, but successful people forget that when they were walking these steps of success, there were a lot of people that were with them. You know, when they reach the top rung of the ladder, they forget who was on the lower rungs with them, and they ignore them. You know, they forget about this. They forget about the sacrifices that perhaps the family has made for them. You know, you remember one thing: success doesn't come on its own. There is a lot of background that's there. You can look up the history of a lot of successful people. Many people will talk about that. But when we become successful or happy, or we have enough of everything in this material world, we tend to forget this. And that is why in the Bhagavad Gita, one of the reasons, of course there are many ways that you can explain this, but that is why you have to tolerate happiness. Because you have to realize that like distress is temporary, happiness is also temporary. It will go. And Krishna compares it to the weather. We have seasons. Unfortunately for London, we don't have very many seasons. We always just have the gloomy season, as I call it, right? The grey clouds and raining and cold. Sometimes we see this really bright sun, and we should be really grateful for that. But like the seasons, happiness and distress also, they come and they go. And we have to learn to tolerate both. When you are very happy, very successful, don't forget the roots. When you are sad and going through difficult times, don't forget that Krishna is holding your hands. He's always there. He's always holding your hands. Never forget that, However, so the point that I was trying to make was that reciprocate. So we reciprocate like that. When we are down, when we are up, we want somebody that we want to reciprocate with. In our devotional life also, we want to reciprocate. If we have difficulties in my life right now, I want to talk to somebody. I want to talk to somebody who will probably encourage me, enlighten me, put me on the right path, tell me it's okay, which I just said, it's okay, distress is there, but the Lord is there. The Lord in His, as He sends His instruments as all His devotees over here, And then the final thing was E, and that is ecstasy and enthusiasm. When we are able to have these kind of relationships amongst ourselves, amongst devotees, then we are enthusiastic to carry on our devotional service, to carry on this spiritual path, or to carry on even on our material journey. Like, let's say that I'm a college student and I've not done well this year, but I still get the support and encouragement from my teachers and family that it's okay, you can do well next year. If everybody pulls me down, or if there is nobody to kind of encourage me or support me, I will not be able to do that. And you need that constantly. You need that encouragement. And with that encouragement, you come in devotional service, when you're on this path, you actually experience the ecstasy of performing service to the Lord in the association of devotees. So this verse from Nectar of Instruction, verse 4, if you remember this acronym, which is CARE, C-A-R-E, it's very easy to actually understand this verse, which is saying to us that, we can perform our devotional service in association of devotees by having these kind of relationships. Now, what Srila Prabhupada has done very kindly is that he has established these kind of centers all over the world. You can't just stand on the road and accept these kinds of association, right? When you come to the temple, you meet people, you interact with people, you develop relationships, and then you have these kind of loving exchanges. And that way, then your spiritual journey starts and it flourishes, and like a beautiful tree, it grows and it flowers and it bears fruits. And what are those fruits? Those fruits are realization of what my relation with Krishna is, and like Mataji said, understanding who the true me is. So, and when I understand who the true me is, then knowing what the goal is, and then how do I walk towards that goal. You know, there is a saying that if you want to walk fast, or when you walk alone, you can walk fast, and you may walk fast. But when you want to walk far, you walk with people, you know, and that is what ISKCON, these temples, these centers are doing for us. We are getting the opportunity to interact with like-minded people. We are getting the opportunity to have these various kinds of loving exchanges, and that way then walk far, because the goal to reach Krishna, Prabhupada says it can happen in 1 second, or it can take lifetimes, right? But at least we're getting the opportunity to walk on that path. Okay, so I'm going to stop here now in case anybody has any comments or any thoughts, any realizations, or perhaps questions which I will try to answer. I cannot promise, but if you have any comments, even questions actually. Anybody, any thoughts, any questions? Perhaps for people who are coming maybe not regularly to the temple, if you have any questions or... No? No? So to be honest with you, obviously, unfortunately or fortunately, after COVID, we've got a lot of online things happening. Some may love it, some may hate it. There's a really love-hate relation with these online forums. But however, we do have this wonderful opportunity that we can associate online. However, association comes in various forms, right? The best way for your Krishna conscious journey is to associate with Srila Prabhupada through his teachings, through his books. We've got his books here at the reception. We've got his books, you know, we've got a book table, I think, just outside, you know, where we are giving the Bhagavatam sets to whoever would like to. That is a very, very good way of associating with Srila Prabhupada's teachings, because like I said, unless you know about Krishna, unless you know Krishna, you will not be able to develop that love. So association in that sense, but association with devotees or with like-minded people. Let's say that you want to become a singer. Obviously, you're going to go to classes where singing is being taught in the association of other people who also are interested in singing, because then you can talk to them about singing. You know, like, oh, did you learn this particular note and how do you do it? That's how you associate and that's how you learn. And that's exactly how spirituality is, or devotional service is. You know, we have in our temple, we have so many facilities to do so many different things. There are devotees who are distributing prasad. There are devotees who are helping in the cooking of the prasad. There are devotees who like to, you know, who perhaps love the academic side of it. So we've got School of Bhakti, which runs various courses. There are people who volunteer with that as teachers, as, administrative team, kind of setting up things. So there are so many ways that you can associate. So you can physically associate by obviously doing various services at the temple. You can associate online by listening to various classes. You can associate through the books that Srila Prabhupada has got, you know, and that's how you build up your association, like that. Yeah? Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, so then we'll stop here. Thank you all very much for attending this session. And I hope that you all enthusiastically, if you're not already on your spiritual journey, then please do take it. And please do try and visit the reception area where you get lovely books, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Take to it, read those. Those are instructions from Krishna for all of us. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
श्रीयुता पदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं चाक्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं त्वं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सगन ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,